So the Hebrew words, when you look up words in the Bible and it takes you to a H, and then you go and look in the I guess the Strong's Concordance. Well, my question is this: who gave who authority to say that this word means this instead of that? And the most common one is the word God, because it's looked at as, well, we've been talking to Satan the entire time, that we're referring to God or the Lord or Elohim, which is everybody that ye are all gods. And so I just wonder, like, is this part of the craft? I mean, is this part of the craft, or are they legitimate definitions of the words? Because when you type in the Gematria book, and when you type it in, and you type in your H, and then you shake up the magic ball, and then the definition that comes out of there is well, I guess it's considered a concrete, solid definition of the word, right? My question is, who decided that it's, like, in the context of the word, who decided the definition of the words? And then I mean, I'm gonna just assume that when it was written in the Hebrew or the Greek, whatever language the Bible was written in, that they're the original words, and then that gives it a definition. I don't know. I'm just asking, because it's one way of getting the Bible so damn twisted up and the words in it that literally it's the opposite of what you originally thought. The complete exact opposite. But nobody can get me to pray to Satan anyway. When I talk, when I think, I know who I'm thinking to, and I know who I'm talking to. And then there's another thing about Adam in the beginning and mankind being made in the image of God, being told that you shall not eat of that tree of life over there, for you surely shall die, and you'll know the difference between good and evil. You'll know. So because in the beginning mankind decided to want to know what evil is, what it feels like, experience it all the way through your entire life. And so people that are even Christ-like have to experience evil and the knowledge of good and evil, and live in a life where your flesh is constantly battling back and forth with evil, because of all of the stuff that was created and that's right in front of your face. Makes it easier to sin day in and day out. Right now, with the way things are, it's so easy to sin. It's so easy that it's literally acceptable in the world. Now, here's where the change comes in at. Satan had his fun. He had all that time to have all the people worship him, and that's just what you do when you're sinning on a daily basis and you don't find anything wrong with it. That's ultimately who you're worshiping. Now you're not literally going and dropping to your knees and praying prayers to Satan, but that's what it's like to worship Satan day in and day out. And then when you see that Satan's time is almost up on earth, that means that Satan is getting ready to know what good is. Because the entire time that since everything was created, Satan had his way, and everybody knew the difference between good and evil. And evil, let's face it, evil has won the battles all throughout existence. Now the tables are turning. Now that Satan's time is up, and he had his fun, and he knows that he's going to be destroyed, but he also understands the word destroyed too. He knows that it's not, he knows that he's not gonna never be in existence ever again. He just understands that he had his fun. It's a deal, okay? It's just a deal that God made with Satan, that you can rule the world. You can show everybody what evil is and know the difference, have the knowledge of both, and choose to follow evil. Now that his time is up, he is going to finally not only know what good is, because he already knows what good is. He already knows what evil is. He loves evil. But now he's going to find out what it's like to live good. Because it all went from evil. Now it's going to good. So for an eternity, Satan will no longer be evil, because he's changing to the good side. And people that don't understand Satan's tricks, well, he's deceived you. And when you do know the truth about it, I have a feeling Satan does respect. He respects you people for knowing the truth. He does. He gives you a little bit more respect. Not that he won't stop trying to make you fall into sin, but you know. But I can see how he's I can sense how he's turning his tune. He's changing his tune. Because in the beginning, you had the option. The option was there. What do you want to choose? I'll take evil for the next 13,030 years, please. And, oh wait, oh, I forgot. We were created millions of gazillions of years ago, right? Do you think God wastes any time? Like, he's just going to waste millions of gazillions of years? Because the scientists can't prove anything. They go by assumptions, and then they see, that's the difference between, well, people that don't have pride, and they're not liars, and if they don't have an answer, they're just not going to give it to you, or they'll just tell you, I'm not sure, I just don't know. Scientists, they have an answer. They have such an answer. It's so ridiculous, but like, all right, well, the Earth was created between 500 million years and 375,233 gazillion. Okay, it's somewhere in between that, give or take 100 million gazillion years or so. I'm not, you know, but the definitely creation was, it started back when, see, what happened was the plankton's inside of the sea, they turned into bubbles, and bubbles kind of boiled over, and then like bubbles like exploded, and then some kind of land mass fell on the ground, and then somehow over millions of years, I mean, it's just the way it is, somehow over a million years, that's when man started to transform. I mean, well, that's when monkeys were created, and then over the next 100 million years, the monkey started turning into a man, and then the man, well, I went over this before, the man said at one point to his monkey mate, because the monkey mate wanted to mate with him, and he's like, I'm a man now, I can't mate with you, monkey. You got to find your own kind. So somewhere between that million-year period, man formed from monkey to man, and then, well, then how come there's still monkeys? Like, which, is it a specific species that the monkey stops wanting to mate with an actual monkey, and then it turns into a human, and then vice versa? So yeah, we've been lied to about everything, and it's time for, look, obviously Satan's not going to tell you this. You have to just figure it out on your own. He's not going to tell you, hey guys, look, I'm going to God, side God, you know, not Elohim, but the Hebrew word H24H27, because I'm telling you, it's what it says. A man, there is a man, and he did number words somehow. I don't know how, but he did. His name was Strong's. He was a concordance, and so just take his word for it, all right? And there's another man that's coming up in the end, the last one, and he's gonna number man and everything else, and take his word for it, because whatever you punch in with the letters and numbers, everything that comes out, there's a number, and then it gives you a definition. So everything seems fishy to me when it comes to that, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just because of the Hebrew word and the Greek word, and they look up that word, and then I'm just a little leery about attaching a number next to a word, and then that coming up with a definition. Little leery about that. But I just want everybody to know that Satan's not going to tell you when he repents. Well, he's not going to tell you his plan either. And it is the purpose for all these people, these 7 billion people in the world, to not have a clue to what's going on. But everybody's going to turn. They just are. Everybody has just a covering over their pineal gland, and they can't see afar off or even in front of them, and they don't realize that this world. And you know, I just wonder, is this a game show? Is this a real live 8-year 8-mile run? I'm pretty sure that's why Eminem had that movie was called 8 Mile Run, right? Because it's an 8-mile run. It's like 55 miles of wall, and then 115 more miles of wall. I mean, 35 miles of wall and 115 miles of wall. It's like an 8-mile run. I'm not so sure that the elite just decided, like, look, all right, look, that tornado, okay, was real on May 22nd, 2011. After everybody was mocking Harold Camping, and then God gave him that just a little jolt of, I'm real, all right? I'm real, bitches. And I'm not so sure that they didn't take that and then start to like, well, all right, well, let's see here. Is if the Bible's real, okay, well then we're gonna play it out the best way that we can. But before May 21st, 2011, I know the elite have been planning this dominant world takeover for a long time now. They've even tested back in 1930 something saying that there were aliens, and they were the first time, and then they over the broadcast, and they got all these people to run. I mean, it's just what they did. It was a test run. So yeah, an alien invasion comes at the end, and with all of the other deception, and they knew that they needed to create another sun to cover this one, because the idea is to make it travel from the west to the east, and then just park it in the ocean. It's probably just a big boat that has wings on it, and like a hovercraft type ordeal. And because I do remember when I was recording it, when I put the Nikon to it and I put the welder's mask over it, and I zoomed in, and there was like these two spots on the top, and I know people are saying they're sunspots, but the sun's not, but it's not our sun, so it's that wasn't what it was. I looked at it as, I don't know how big it is or how wide, but I looked at it as two humongous hovercraft motors, like in there, just traveling. So anyway, they knew they needed to make a sun, mimic the moon, come with the clouds, because that's what the Bible says. Even though the clouds is really God's judgment, but Satan knows that. He knows that. And that is the thing I did come to the conclusion of. Satan does know more than any human, anybody, because he understands hidden sentences. He understands those dark sentences. And so he knows the spiritual meanings of the real words. And he also knows how people are going to take it literal. So he loves that part. He loves that you take it literal. So when God's come with the clouds, well, yeah, he's going to make sure he comes with the clouds. And when the moon keeps getting ginormously close, well, yeah, he's going to make sure that these lying-ass newscasters and meteorologists and sorcerers and Chaldeans and soothsayers and all those people, he's going to make sure that they that they all lie to you and try to convince you that that moon is, you know, like it's not like 5 miles in the air, because it, you know, your eyes, when you stare at it and look, you can just tell how far it is. And when they say 200-something thousand miles and the sun is like 93 million miles away, yeah, well, how can you project that when you never even got outside of the world? So all the stuff that's being played out literally in the Bible, the building a literal third temple. Here's the third temple. And then the Messiah coming, and the Jews are actually going to embrace this Messiah because he's a false one. But they already are, but they already know who it is. And I mean, I'm hoping that today we get some information on who the Messiah is. And then we get, you know, I'm surprised the full moon wasn't called full wormwood moon instead of just worm moon, a full wormwood moon. But I'm hoping to hear that the Messiah is on his way. I can't wait to start seeing it all unravel. Because we're just right at the brink. And look, if my channel is up after this weekend, I'm going to be disappointed. I'm going to be. And it's not because, like, well, I'm just sick of it all. I don't feel like talking to any of you guys anymore. I just feel like it's like being worn out. Next phase. I want to get to the next phase. I want to get to the point where everything that I was thinking that's going to happen starts happening. And then conversations will be more with people that like the things that I want to talk about. Because look, every day conversations, now I know why I've been antisocial. Now I get it. My entire life. Because what people were talking about is just like the unimportance, the small talk, I mean, do you find yourself in that situation these days where people want to talk to you about little things that they're just not important, and they're irrelevant because the future's not going to be necessary for any of this stuff. And the number one thing is finances and your job and things of those nature, like those future talks about that kind of stuff. And so I just find myself like not really engaging in conversation. I try to, like, yeah, hey, did you see who's it? Bryce Harper. The Phillies, they just signed Bryce Harper, and for 13 years, or wait, no, 12. No, the other guy got signed for 13 years and $300 million contracts, and it's like, yeah, that's great. We're gonna, woohoo! I guess they're gonna write that script for us to win the World Series again, huh? Yay! So that's where I get with the conversation. It's just like, so I'm tired of that in that aspect, and where it's getting so close, but yet people's perception is so far off into the world, and it's like just hold on, what it just. So that's why I can't wait for the time where everybody wants to talk about, you know, kind of like the same thing, God. Well, no, and it's the Hebrew word. When you look at the Hebrew, it's not saying that, shut up. It just shut up. That's the part I'm sick of. All the words being twisted and turned around. And, you know, God is God. The one that created you, that one. That's the God I'm talking about. Do you know him? That's the God that I want to talk about. The other creator, you know, his time is up. His fun is up. Even though you think it's fun living sinful, right? Like, yeah, sure, okay, you get your joy and jollies off on sinning, but don't you feel like a piece of crap? You know what I mean? Like, as you go throughout your day sinning, here's the difference. Like, yeah, it's fun, it's great, but are you satisfied when you're done sinning? Is that fulfillment a fulfilling feeling to you afterwards? Are you always never satisfied, and you're constantly digging deep into that bottomless pit? Well, then sin's not so fun, is it, Satan? I mean, even Satan has learned that he's getting a taste of what it's like to know good now. The knowledge, the tree of knowledge, good and evil. He's known evil, and he's starting to get to know good, like testing the waters a little bit. Like, hey, that kind of feels good to like love someone that's, you know, that loves God. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting. I never thought of it that way. And then, so it's kind of fulfilling, actually. So that's where Satan is getting a taste of what it's like to be, have a good heart. And it's, again, it's like, he's been hooked up to the IV. It's like a 33-minute IV. It lasts for like, you know, when you go in the hospital, you hooked up the IV. Like, how long am I going to be here for with this IV? Because I have stuff to do. It's like, just relax. It's like a 33-minute IV. Just let it drip in. It'll, look, trust me, it'll resonate. It'll seep through your veins and eventually start to cleanse out your evil thoughts and ways, and you're going to start feeling absolutely terrible for sinning. You know, you're going to start feeling bad for what you've done. Like, I'm going to give you an example. When my son used to be intimidated talking to me, right? And because this was before he developed his personality. Because, you know, he's always playing video games, and it's like, I'm trying to pull him away from it, and then when I pull him away from, this is when I gained custody of him when he was 7, he was just locked on games. And so when I pulled him away, he had a personality identification problem. And then he would be uncomfortable talking to me. And I understand it's like social anxiety. And then there's times where, I mean, now he's his own person. 17, he has more social skills than I do. You know what I mean? But there's still some times where I talk to him, I see he's like a little timid at first, but then, you know, I feel bad. I don't like that. I don't like when somebody's coming up to me talking to me and they feel timid. I don't want people to be intimidated by me. And that's what that does, is it brings me back to the times where I was a little harsh, the reason why he would feel that way, and it makes me feel bad, you know. So I can't imagine wanting people to kiss my ass or wanting people to feel fearful of me for any reason. I'd rather you just have a respect and fear God. Don't, because I wouldn't want to feel intimidated by anybody either. But some people are like, yeah, that's right. That's not the way I like it, and that's why I say that. That's why I say the sin that people commit. Parking spot. Somebody's gonna take it. The sin that people have committed, the things that used to feel good, and look, you can't stop it. All right, I'm just explaining how it works. When God starts working in your heart, when he starts dripping that IV in you, right, for 33 minutes at a time, when he starts dripping that IV, it doesn't happen overnight. It happens over a period of like 2 years. I don't know. It's somewhere around maybe 2 years. So what it does is it makes you think about the things that you thought were enjoyable in life, because that's all you knew since you were born. Because you have known evil and you have embraced evil. So when good comes along, you're not used to it, and then over a period of time you start getting used to it. So those things that you enjoyed your entire life, you're starting to see that it's not really that enjoyable. It's not really that fulfilling. It's kind of more fulfilling to do those little tiny goods day in and day out for whoever it is. When you start to be in a better mood because of good things that are happening in your life, not the evil things that used to happen in your life, you start to turn sin away. And you start seeing that before you thought, yeah, it was cool for people to be intimidated by me. Now it's not cool. I don't like that feel. I don't like feeling like that person that someone's afraid to come up and talk to you about. Now, I haven't been the most affectionate person in my life, and I want to be, and I see that I'm starting to be, but it's taken almost like 42 full years for this to finally happen. And it's taken YouTube 33 minutes a day for the past 2 years, at least a year and a half, consistently on a daily basis as like a daily sacrifice of my time. Yes, I do get stalked and harassed and, you know, whatever, cyber stalked and regularly stalked, but I understand now these people need to watch. They need to watch and see, like, well, how do you deal with this, Robin, huh? How do you deal with these people? Just know, like, you're constantly under scrutiny and being attacked by everybody, and then you just continue on. Like, how? That's pretty unusual. It really is. Most people cave by now, Rob. I gotta admit. I mean, we've really dropped some people to their knees. They've caved and they quit. But you, it's pretty peculiar how you just continue on. I admire that in you, actually. And so that's how I work in people's veins, like heroin. Like Henry, I am. Look, I work through your veins. You shoot up some Henry. Oh man, you're gonna be feeling good. Those sins that you used to think you enjoyed, not so much anymore. But that's my point. Evil is turning to know what good is, and evil is starting to really like the way good feels, because it feels good. I mean, it's just the way it is.